Nor is the question before us whether the market is a force for good or ill. Its power to generate wealth and expand freedom is unmatched. But this crisis has reminded us that without a watchful eye, the market can spin out of control. The nation cannot prosper long when it favors only the prosperous. The success of our economy has always depended not just on the size of our gross domestic product, but on the reach of our prosperity, on the ability to extend opportunity to every willing heart, not out of charity, but because it is the surest route to our common good.
Halfway didn't agree with his sentiment on this or the implications of it, saying that the market's ability to create wealth and freedom are unmatched. That the question is not whether the market is a force for good or evil. I agree with that part. Unquestionably, the answer is it's neither. Just like with anything else, your TV is neither a force for good or evil, but you can use it for good or evil. You can put good or evil programming on it. Watching television, you can watch very good things on television, or you can watch too much television or too much crap on television. That could be bad. A gun is neither good or evil. It just is. It's how someone chooses to use it is good or evil. And the same thing with the market. Actually, there is no the market, as if there's one market. There are markets based on how people choose to construct their market. And our market and every other market changes over time with laws that are passed that dictate how the market works. So I don't even think the issue is whether free market is good or bad. Is what the issue is: what free market do we choose to set up and install, and how do we choose to use the market, and whether we choose to use it basically to uplift those who already have and continue to allow the system to help those people to block others from entering the market and having equal opportunity in the market, or do we use the market as an opportunity for all to participate and be a part of the national economy, world economy? And so these are the real questions that ought to be asked, and the real notion is really not a matter of whether a free market is good or bad. It's neither. It's how you use it, just like with anything else. How you use it, or how you construct it, I should say, more so. I'd really like to get on this point that our prosperity is not simply based on the size of our gross domestic product. This notion that is used by certain people who are against the populace, that when you can look at the gross domestic product, or you can look at the economy is growing. George Bush and then John McCain foolishly picked up this thing that the fundamentals of our economy are strong. And George Bush was kept saying this going back 2 years ago after the economy was collapsing. And this type of notion is based on looking at economic measures that measure the economy as a whole and measure the macro economy. And if you looked at certain of these measures as a macro economy, the whole economy as an entire entity was growing. That was true. The problem with that was that only, again, it doesn't measure how the economy is working for individuals within it. It doesn't measure the gross domestic product, and economic growth type measures don't measure what's going on with the masses individually. So let's say if you have this is the economy here, right? And you're talking about the economy's growing because it's doing like this, but you may have only a small percentage that account for that growth. So you could have a small percentage whose the economy is growing for them as individuals. 10% of the of people, their personal economy may be growing by 6%, and then you may have another 30% at the other end. Their economy is going backward. Their personal economy is going backwards. But you look at the GDP and say, well, GDP is growing. Everything is great. That's a lie. It's great for a small percentage, but that still is not accounting for the masses. And so when you hear these certain economic measures come out and these economists talking about it, most of the time, especially these right-wingers who are always for what's happening for the upper class, and particularly the rich, who really don't care about what happens to the middle, the working class, the lower working class, the poor. They're basically using propaganda by misusing information. The information that they're quoting may be true, but how they're applying it and the spin they're putting on it is false. Yeah, the economy's growing, but it's not growing for most people. It's a small percentage of people who are gaining all the benefits, and they are not spreading the wealth by any means. It's not trickling down by any means. What often happens when a few people are getting this hordes of money, they're spending it on things like yachts and private jets, which only fuel small, narrow industries. And as far as the money trickling back out to the greater economy, it's not. What it's basically doing is circling around amongst the same small 10 or 20% of people. And so, yeah, the GDP is growing, but it's not, that fact that it's growing is doing nothing for the majority of people because it is not trickling back into the rest of the economy. So just keep your mind open to those type of Spingali BS type of spin that is put on economic numbers.
To the Muslim world, we seek a new way forward based on mutual interest and mutual respect. To those leaders around the globe who seek to sow conflict or blame their society's ills on the West, know that your people will judge you on what you can build, not what you destroy. And to those nations like ours that enjoy relative plenty, we say we can no longer afford indifference to the suffering outside our borders, nor can we consume the world's resources without regard to effect. For the world has changed, and we must change with it.
True, other governments will be judged on what they build and not what they destroy, and that's an important factor in it. But sometimes countries have a good reason for blaming the West for their problems. I would think Somalia would have a good reason right now to blame the West, America in particular, for waging a proxy war in Somalia by use of the Ethiopian government and taking out their. They had the Somalians had finally gotten a government installed in Khartoum that was bringing some sort of order, and because the American government didn't like their government, they took them out. And so for us to pretend that that doesn't happen and that somebody shouldn't be upset when America interferes in their internal affairs and actually undermines their government and plunges them into certain wars and conflicts because we choose to mess with what is going on in their country because we do not like who their government is, or we again want somebody to play ball with us to get our particular desires accomplished. There is legitimate reason why some governments actually have fault with the West. There are some illegitimate reasons that are often brought up, and exaggerations and excuse making that they're using to try to profit their agenda. But there are quite often there are some legitimate reasons why this is brought up. And again, I say if we are going to call ourselves a friend to all nations, then you actually have to be a friend. You can't just say the words. I'm by no means a tree-hugging green freak or anything of that nature, but it's without a doubt that we are going to have to take the responsibility upon ourselves as a nation and as individuals to conserve more and find better ways of producing energy. It has to happen. Unsustainable. So this is something that we all must keep in our minds and try to take whatever steps we can in our own homes and in our own lives to get beyond our normal usage and energy usage methods and how we our consumption of products that are not biodegradable and this, that, and the other. I'm probably need to do a video about that at some other time.
At a moment when the outcome of our revolution was most in doubt, the father of our nation ordered these words be read to the people. Let it be told to the future world that in the depth of winter, when nothing but hope and virtue could survive, that the city and the country, alarmed at one common danger, came forth to meet it. America, in the face of our common dangers, in this winter of our hardship, let us remember these timeless words. With hope and virtue, let us brave once more the icy currents and endure what storms may come. Let it be said by our children's children that when we were tested, we refused to let this journey end, that we did not turn back nor did we falter. And with eyes fixed on the horizon and God's grace upon us, we carried forth that great gift of freedom.